In this video, we're going to be looking at simplifying fractions. So to start off with, let's take 2/4. Now when you simplify fractions, you look at the numerator and your denominator separately, and you try to figure out what the biggest number is that the numerator can be divided by, that the denominator can also be divided by. So 2 has a factor of 2, or it can be divided by 2, and 4 has factors of 2 and 4, because it can be divided by 2 and it can be divided by 4. So both the numerator and denominator have a factor of 2. So 2 divided by 2 equals 1, and 4 divided by 2 equals 2. So 2/4 is equal to 1/2. And the reason we can do that is because we haven't changed the value of our fraction at all. In fact, we've just made it simpler, but it may look completely different, but it still has the same exact value. And to illustrate this, I'll just kind of show you this little drawing here of 2 bars of equal length. So the first bar is divided into 4 equal pieces, and the second bar is divided into 2 equal halves. They may not look terribly equal, but they are. So here's our 2/4 up on top, and down on the bottom we have our 1/2. So as you can see, they're both equal, even though as a fraction they don't look the same. So that's why we can do this. So now let's take a fraction of 3/9 and we'll simplify it. So to start off, 3 has a factor of 3, and that's pretty much it. And then 9 has a factor of 3 and 9. So we'll use 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 3/9 is equal to 1/3. So now let's go with 8/18 and simplify that. So 8 has factors of 2, 4, and 8. 18 has factors of 9, 2, and 18. So let's take the common factor here of 2. So 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4, and 18 divided by 2 is equal to 9. So that is, at this point you'd have to take a look at it and ask yourself if you're done yet, because we might still have common factors here. So the factors of 4 are 2 and 4, and the factors of 9 are 3 and 9. So they don't share any common factors, so we are done with this one. So now I'll give you another example of 48/54, because I want to show you something with this one. When you learn how to simplify fractions in school or virtually anywhere, the way you're taught is to look for the greatest common factor, or the biggest number that will go evenly into both of these. Now that's definitely the ideal way to do it, because it's faster and more efficient, but it requires that you have a pretty good knowledge of your multiplication tables. And if you don't have a good understanding of them yet, you don't have to worry about this anyways, because you can still do this pretty simply. And it's actually my favorite way of doing it. So here, I'll just show you the two separate ways. So the first way, we can look at these and we can see that they're both even numbers. And even numbers are always divisible by 2. So 48 divided by 2 equals 24, and 54 divided by 2 is 9. 54 divided by 2 is 29. So now we have 24/29, but we're not done yet, because this can be simplified further. So 24 is divisible by 3, and 29 is also divisible by 3. So 24 divided by 3 is 8, and 29 divided by 3 is going to be 9. So now we'll look at it one more time. Our factors of 8 are 2, 4, and 8. Our factors of 9 are 3 and 9. No common factors, so we're done with that one. So now I'll show you the conventional method of doing it. So if we had 48/54, and we were to find the greatest common factor, we'd have to look for the biggest number that will go into both of these evenly. And if you understand your multiplication tables well enough, you will realize that that number is 6. So 48 divided by 6 is equal to 8. And 54 divided by 6 is equal to 9. So as you can see, that's definitely the faster way to do it. I mean, we eliminated one step, but if you're not that familiar with your multiplication tables, it's really not that big of a deal to do it the other way, as you can see. So now let's take another example, 24 over 38. Both of these are even numbers, so it's going to be 12 over 19. And our factors of 12 are 2, I'll just write them over here, 2, 3, 4, and 12. And our factors of 19 are 19 because it's a prime number. And so we don't share any common factors, so we are actually done at this point. So now, one more example, 150 over 200. And there's multiple ways you could go about doing this. I mean, they're both even numbers, so you could divide by 2 on top and bottom if you wanted, or you can look for the greatest common factor, or you could do what I'm going to do and realize that these are both going to be divisible by 10. So 150 divided by 10 is equal to 15, and 200 divided by 10 is equal to 20. So essentially what we've done is we've just slashed off the 0 on the end. So now we will just finish reducing this fraction. 15 over 20 looks like they're both going to be divisible by 5 because they both end in either a 5 or a 0. So 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3, and 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. So 150 over 200 in reduced form is equal to 3/4. So that's how you would do your simplification of fractions.